What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing amazing. Today we're going to talk about wave shaping and how criminally underrated the Fruity WaveShaper plugin is. You might not even know which plugin I'm talking about, and that's completely normal. It is this bad boy right here. This thing can be smooth, it can be brutal, it can be used to control dynamics, to create dynamics. It's recently been sitting on my drum bus 24/7. It's just that great. It can be used on buses, but also on individual elements. So I will be showing you some audio examples, and let's just jump right into it. Today's video is sponsored by anybody who can find me this amazing FL Studio drip. I will love you forever and hit the Western Union like right now. So hit me up. So let's start real basic, understanding what wave shaping actually is. What's happening right now is I have a synth, Serum, you know me, playing a sine wave, and the wave candy oscilloscope is just representing what's happening with the sine wave. What wave shaping will allow us to do is to change the shape of the wave, and this will affect the sound deeply, gives us a lot of power. Let's do a quick visual example. If I move the point randomly in the wave shaper, you can see we no longer have a sine wave. We have this weird wave now, which sounds completely different. Wave shaping is so powerful because it allows you to manipulate sound at the source, at the sound wave. Isn't this amazing? If you think this is amazing, do drop a like on the video. All right, so let's dive into Fruity WaveShaper. So what the display is telling us is X is the input gain and Y is the output gain. There's a relationship between the two, and it's controlled by this white line right here. When you load up the plugin, the default line gives you a 1-to-1 relationship, which means that 1 dB in equals 1 dB out. There's pre and post gain knobs, which allow you to raise the volume before or after the effect. For example, you could raise the pre gain to drive the effect harder and lower the post gain so that the overall volume of your track stays the same. It's good stuff. There's also this white line which shows you the current peaks in your audio. If you raise the pre-gain, it'll go up. If you bring it down, it'll go down. The visual representation in WaveShaper really isn't that great though. I wish it behaved like Maximus. It shares the same interface, and in Maximus you can see exactly where your volume is right now, which is much more useful. Because of this, in WaveShaper you got to use your ears much more than your eyes, which might actually be a good thing when you think about it. Let's move on to some audio examples because that's where the fun's at. I have this little drum loop I just made. So as you can hear, the 1-to-1 relationship isn't affecting the sound at all. However, if I just move the initial point, as you might have heard, what actually happened is the sustain of the sounds was greatly affected while the transients were left untouched. The sustain is typically at a lower gain level, so this part right here, which is affected a lot by the slight move I just did, while the transient, which is more around this part, is basically unaffected. There's like a slight variation, but it's very small. Let's draw another shape at the other end of the plugin, like this. What I'm telling the plugin right now is don't do anything to the audio until input gain reaches this point on the x-axis, so right here. And when it does hit that hard, the plugin is stopping the 1-to-1 relationship. It's telling audio you cannot go above 75% of your normal volume. I understand this can sound confusing. It'll get much clearer when you actually start using the plugin. Additional tip, when you move your mouse across a point like it is right now, you will see the value in percentage of that point on the upper left corner of FL Studio. I pulled up Wave Candy again to show you a visual representation of the unaffected drum loop. Now let's wave shape by bringing this point down. By the way, this technique is called digital clipping. More on this later on. So now you probably understand what I meant by transient shaping using this tool. We were able to completely destroy the dynamics of the kick, which was the loudest part, but the quietest parts like the hat, which were really small, were left completely unaffected. Here's a visual representation of what's going on to help you understand better. On the left is the non-affected version, and on the right is the hard clip version with the WaveShaper on it. The kick is the first transient we see on the oscilloscope, while the hat is the second transient. It's really simple to understand where the points I put on the WaveShaper graph started taking effect. It is where the kick has been completely decapitated. The waveform was never able to go above the level I set on the graph. On the other hand, the hat was never affected by the WaveShaper because its actual volume was never loud enough to reach the clipping point. When I understood how powerful this tool is to shape transients, my love story with the WaveShaper began, and now I use it on every single track. If you made it this far into the video, you deserve to go wave shape some mother flippin' bacon. Also hit the subscribe button on the channel because these tutorials will just keep coming. Up to this point, we've been looking at some pretty extreme examples which are more akin to sound design than to actual mixing. However, WaveShaping has some really strong mixing capabilities as well. I pulled up the mixer to show you an example. Using the same old drum loop, let's have a look at our peak levels. So I saw some plus 3 dB on there, which is way too hot to hit a limiter, let alone export at. The technique we're going to use to reduce the transients of our drums is called soft clipping. It's a bit like the digital clipping that I just showed, cut the wave very harshly when it reached this point, but now we're going to smooth out this curve and make it more natural. So what we'll do is take this point, raise it, and smooth out the curve so that when the volume hits this point, it is gradually reduced instead of being decapitated. Shout out Sound Toys. So this is what we get now. Sounds about the same to me, and the peaks have been cleaned up nicely. So up to this point, I've been showing the plugin in easy mode. Now let me show you expert mode. Expert mode is activated by hitting this little button right here. So audio is a wave that goes up and down across the zero crossing line. Well, the expert mode allows you to shape both sides of the zero crossing independently. Back with a super raspy voice after a big night of partying, but let's push on into expert mode. So as I just explained, expert mode gives you independent control on both sides of the wave. When you click on the icon, you can see duplicated the points I had and put them right here. And this is the other side of the wave. So if, for example, I were to remove the points here and put them back to their default position, but leave this side as is, this side would not be affected at all by the Fruity WaveShaper, but this side will still be clipped. I pulled up Wave Candy and a sine wave again to give you a visual representation. Let's clip only one side of the wave. As you can see, one side has been decapitated, but the other side has been left untouched. So that's the power of expert mode. You can go even more in depth with this option. I got a couple of complaints about the WaveShaper still. Nothing is perfect. For one, as I discussed previously, I would like for the display to be more interactive, kind of like in Maximus. Also, for some reason, you still can't undo and redo points. So if I delete a point, right click D and hit Control Z, nothing happens. Finally, it really sucks that you can't automate points. If I hit browse parameters, there's basically nothing to be automated here. So that's it for Fruity WaveShaper. Minimal Audio did come up with a plugin recently called Rift, which is a WaveShaper on steroids. It is completely insane. For a quick overview of some of the features, it defaults to expert mode like I explained in the past. You can shape both sides independently from the get-go. There's loads of wave shaping algorithms to select from. So for example, wavefold plexus on the left side, and I would use noise optical on the second one. Plus, I get a visual representation of what's going on in real time. And the plugin offers a drag and drop modulation system, which is really similar to Serum. I'm glad they copied it because it just works so well. In any case, what I recommend you do, first of all, try your hand at Fruity WaveShaper, get familiar with the effect and how you can use it. And then if you're really loving it, check out Rift. This is more for the advanced guys because it offers so many features. It can be a bit overwhelming, but the power is amazing. So that's it, guys. Hopefully this showed you a bit what wave shaping is about and how you can apply it to your music. I'll put a link in the description of a YouTube video from ImageLine about the Fruity WaveShaper. It's a couple of years old, but it's still relevant. Until next time, guys.